What's going on, Fortnite enthusiasts? My name is Cardinal, and in this one, we're going to be analyzing the drop of Frenzy Farm. With the Chapter 2 map being out for almost 2 months now, I've come to the conclusion that Frenzy Farm is one of the best places to land here. And in this episode of analyzing the drop, we're going to be going over all my reasons why Frenzy Farm has the best loot, location, and percentage for a win in Fortnite. But before we get into this absolute banger of a video, be sure you guys subscribe with notifications on and like the video if you guys enjoy. But without further ado, let's get into analyzing the drop of Frenzy Farm. First off, I feel one of the most important things when choosing a location is determining how much loot you're going to be able to get there. And Frenzy Farm does not disappoint on this front. With 20 chest spawns and very good floor loot spawns, it seems no matter where you land in Frenzy Farm, you'll always come away with good enough loot to win you a fight. And I feel the best place that demonstrates how good the loot is at Frenzy Farm is Farmhouse. Now Farmhouse does have some cons, as it is centrally located and a lot of players typically like to land here. However, it's going to get you the best loot and it's going to put you in the best position to win fights. Another aspect I really love about the Farmhouse is once you're done looting the Farmhouse, you're going to have access to really good materials such as wood, brick, and metal. There's a lot of bookshelves and a lot of chairs that are very easily mineable inside the Farmhouse, and I feel that every time I come out of Farmhouse I have at least 400 to 500 wood, and occasionally I'll even get 100 brick and 100 steel. So it's really good on the mats front, so when you're leaving Farmhouse, rotating to other places around Frenzy Farm, you guys are going to be able to build, and as you're leaving Frenzy Farm, you guys are going to be able to save time by not having to mine materials. However, since Farmhouse is so centrally located within Frenzy Farm, it is very common to experience a fight within the Farmhouse in the early game. However, if you can win this fight, you're going to be put in a very good position to win Frenzy Farm and to be able to rotate into the next zone with very good loot. To conclude the loot section of Frenzy Farm, I honestly really am impressed with the Frenzy Farm loot. I feel there's a lot of good floor loot, a lot of good chests, and I feel that you can leave Frenzy Farm with good enough loot to win you some mid-game battles and put you in a good spot for endgame. And so overall, out of 10 points, I'm going to give Frenzy Farm a 9 on loot. The next section of Frenzy Farm is the location. Frenzy Farm is quite possibly one of the best locations for a named location within Fortnite. It's going to put you very close to the zone, and oftentimes you're going to have players rotating through Frenzy Farm, which can mean you can have some pretty good kills. However, there is a slight chance you are going to be eliminated by these players, but I feel the risk is well worth it, considering the location and the general loot that they're going to bring towards you. Overall, I feel that the location of Frenzy Farm is very, very good. If it does not get that first circle, it's going to be very, very close to it. And oftentimes when you're running to that first circle, or even that second circle, you're going to see some very easy kills as the players have been running from a lot farther away. Overall, another very positive thing I like about Frenzy Farm's location is how spread out all the loot is and how spread out all the buildings and shacks are in Frenzy Farm. It's not going to be as congested as maybe the Tilted Towers of the original map or the Lazy Lake of the second map. Players are going to be spread out so you can know where they are, identify where they are, and be able to plan accordingly to that. Nothing's going to be pushed on you suddenly because everybody's going to be right around you. You're going to have plenty of time to think fights out and really assess if you need to be taking that fight, or if, since you're in Frenzy Farm, you can just find better loot. A big advantage to dropping Frenzy Farm is having the ability to farm materials. Frenzy Farm has plentiful supplies of wood, brick, and metal, and definitely enough to be able to get you to max, and having those max materials is really going to come in handy in those late game fights and mid game fights, because if you have more materials than your opponent, it's really going to help you to be able to build up and ultimately defeat them. Although there are a lot of advantages to the locations of Frenzy Farm, there are a few cons. One of those cons being the fact that since Frenzy Farm is so centrally located, a lot of players are going to be trying to rotate through Frenzy Farm or have simply landed at Frenzy Farm, and that can prove very costly when all the crowds in Frenzy Farm are ruining your perfect loot. With Frenzy Farm being located towards the center of the map, it's going to be very common for you to experience a lot of players in the early game. You can expect 5 to 10 players while in an average bus. However, one thing I found out as I was dropping here is even with a hot bus, sometimes occasionally I would only just have 1 or 2 opponents drop at Frenzy Farm. And if this happens in your game, it's going to be a very, very good situation as you're only going to have 1 or 2 opponents to fight in the early game, and you're going to have all the loot to yourself. To sum it all up, I feel that the location of Frenzy Farm is very, very good. It's central, and you're going to have the first circle almost every time, and if not, you'll be very, very close to it. And so, for the overall score of Frenzy Farm's location, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And that brings Frenzy Farm's score to 18 out of 20 so far. However, we do have one more category left, and that category is percentage of a win. Although Frenzy Farm performed very well in the first 2 categories, I feel that its ability to get a win is definitely its weakest point. Now don't get me wrong, I still was able to achieve wins. However, I felt that at Frenzy Farm it was very, very difficult to get those wins, and I felt that I had a very, very low win percentage. It seemed like every single time I would leave Farmhouse or I'd rotate over to the other locations around the map, it seemed there was always somebody who was there and ready to kill me. Now if you'd like to get high kill wins, I can understand how Frenzy Farm would be a very, very good choice for you. However, I feel that just getting the win is more important in my opinion, and I was really, really struggling to do that since there was just so many players landing there every single match, and I really had a tough time getting out of Frenzy Farm alive. Most of my deaths could have been avoided with just simple corrections. However, I feel that a lot of other name locations are a lot more forgiving in terms of making errors. I felt that at Frenzy Farm I had to play almost perfect to make it out of there alive. Now if you are a better player, you might like landing at Frenzy Farm. However, I'm not the best at Fortnite, and I felt that Frenzy Farm definitely challenged me, and I feel that next time I might want to land it somewhere a little bit quieter if I really want to get that win. To me, it seems that the reason I disliked Frenzy Farm's ability to get a win was just the simple fact that every single time I would leave Frenzy Farm, it seemed that I was always in a situation where I would have to fight somebody mid-game that I really didn't want to have to fight, and it would ultimately end up in me getting third-partied. Another aspect of Frenzy Farm that I feel hinders its ability to get a win is just the sheer number of players that drop there every single match. Since there's so many players that drop there, it means that in order to win the location, a lot of kills are going to be required. It seemed that sometimes you would have to get 3 to 5 kills just to make it out of there alive, and once you've gotten those 3 to 5 kills, you're in a pretty tough spot. You're going to be low on mats. There's going to be other players coming in after they've heard your gunshots from your previous fights, and it was just tough to make it out of there even after I had won the location. The times that I dropped Frenzy Farm and won all my fights and played the game almost perfectly, rotating correctly, playing mid-game right, and ultimately playing endgame right, would usually result in a win. And those wins would feel very, very good just because of the amount of effort and how well I played those games and how many kills I would usually end up getting in those wins. So I guess to conclude the win percentage section of this video, I'm not going to be able to give Frenzy Farm a very good score in this category. And this is due in part to the fact that it was very, very challenging for me to get a win here. Now I can understand if you are a better player, how you might like to go there as there's more players there for you to eliminate. But for the general population of Fortnite, I don't know that I can recommend dropping Frenzy Farm just because of how hard it was to get a win there. It really seemed like every single time I would leave the location, I would be constantly getting third-partied or forced to take mid-game fights that I really just did not want to have to take. And it's because of these reasons that I am forced to give Frenzy Farm a 3 out of 10 in the win percentage category. Now I know this is kind of a low score, and if you are a better player I can understand how you personally would give it a higher score, but again all these ratings are just my opinion on the location, and I'm just afraid I'm going to have to give it a 3 out of 10. Well guys, that's going to go ahead and conclude the video. Overall, the loot and location sections of the video did very, very well for Frenzy Farm. However, the win percentage category is really ultimately what caused Frenzy Farm's score to suffer so much. I felt that I could get good chests and good floor loot here, as well as I could rotate to the circle very, very well since it was so centrally located. However, my percentage for a win was so challenging just because of how many times I got third-partied and how many mid-game fights I had to take that I really didn't want to. So all in all, with the 9 out of 10 and the other 9 out of 10 from the loot and locations category, but the 3 out of 10 from the win percentage category is going to result in a 21 out of 30 for Frenzy Farm. Let me know if you guys agree with that in the comments down below, and also comment down below what location I should do in my next Analyzing the Drop video. My name is Cardinal. I had a lot of fun filming this. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.